Hello and welcome here as reconvening at Villa Park for the second leg of their Europa League semi-final. It is Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest who will clash here on this Thursday evening. Forest hold a slim lead after last week's opener, but Villa boast a superb home record in Europe. Whoever prevails, the aggregate winner, will proceed to the final, facing either Braga or Freiburg in Istanbul later this month. After reaching the Conference League semis in 2024 and the Champions League quarter-finals last season, Aston Villa are aiming to take the next step and make their first continental final in a generation. Several decades have passed since Villa beat Bayern Munich in the 1982 European Cup decider, and that wait will go on should they fail to overturn a 1-0 deficit on Thursday. Last week, Nottingham Forest established a slender lead in their All-Midlands tie as Chris Wood emphatically dispatched a second-half penalty after Luca Dean had clearly handled the ball. Then, seeking to rest key men and rotate between two huge European fixtures, Unai Emery saw his second string beaten at home by relegation-haunted Tottenham Hotspur. His listless side managed just one touch in the Spurs box before half-time and barely improved after the break. And then after that, it was Forest who had scored from the spot. Though the Villains have suffered 3 straight defeats for the first time since 2024, they are grimly clinging on to 5th place and still have Champions League qualification within their grasp. Now they must switch focus to producing a second leg fight back, having fared so well en route to the Europa League semis. Emery's men finished second in the league phase before easing past Lille and Bologna. The omens are good. The Birmingham club have won their last 9 European fixtures at Villa Park, also scoring in 31 of the last 32, and their Basque Bosque is a proven expert at this level. A 4-time Europa League winner, Emery last lost a 2-legged tie in UEFA's second-tier tournament some 14 years ago, subsequently progressing from 22 in a row. Also unbeaten in 10 home games against Forest since 1994, including January's Premier League fixture. At least precedent suggests Villa can recover. However, much has changed since that 3-1 league loss for the Tricky Trees, with Vitor Pereira's arrival in February sparking an unexpected revival. The Portuguese coach took some time to win over sceptical supporters, but his methods eventually took hold and Forest are on fire at the moment. A stunning 10-game unbeaten run has not only eased relegation fears, but also taken them to the very brink of European football. The best undefeated streak for a decade has featured 7 wins and plenty of goals, and Forest moved 6 points clear of the Premier League drop zone by putting 3 past Chelsea on Monday. Despite Pereira also resting star players, Taiwo Awoniyi struck either side of an Igor Jesus spot kick, significantly boosting their fight for a top-flight survival. Now, the East Midlands side will aim to finish the job that they started last Thursday and progress from their first continental semi-final for 42 years. Pereira has already steered them past his former club Fenerbahce, plus Midtjylland and Porto to reach the last 4, reigniting a dormant European tradition. So the two teams line up as follows: Semi Martinez in goal for Villa, back 4 of Matty Cash, Paul Torres, Ezri Konsa and Victor Lindelof. We expect to see Luca Dean playing a little bit higher up alongside Emi Buendia as the wing-backs, whilst John McGinn, Yuri Tielemans and Emi Buendia will play behind the lone striker Ollie Watkins. For Nottingham Forest, it's Stefan Ortega in goal for them. Back 4 of Jair Cunha, Nikola Milenkovic, Morato and Nico Williams. Whilst it's a midfield 4 of Elliot Anderson, Nico Dominguez, Amari Hutchinson and James McAtee, whilst Igor Jesus and Chris Wood lead the line for Nottingham Forest. So we are underway here in the game with Nottingham Forest as the away team against Aston Villa for a highly anticipated fixture here at Villa Park. Villa were really poor in the previous game, but they are expecting better today because they are certainly expecting a reaction in the tie. Aston Villa are in their claret tops with white shorts and sky blue socks, whilst Nottingham Forest are in their white tops, navy blue shorts and navy blue socks. So there is a little bit of a delay for the game starting here, but we will now get underway with Ollie Watkins going back to Yuri Tielemans. He goes out to the right side to John McGinn, who will ferret it across, and it goes all the way out for a goal kick. Well, Stefan Ortega comes over to take it. He'll put it down for his team. And we'll just put it down on the ground. And there's good noise inside the stadium here. Stefan Ortega will actually just go short into Nico Williams. He'll go back into Nikola Milenkovic. He'll launch it up. It'll be headed by Lindelof, flicked on by Rodgers towards Ollie Watkins. He'll take a positive touch. Watkins goes back to John McGinn, and McGinn catches Nico Williams. And McGinn, the Villa captain, certainly disagreeing with the decision of the Swedish officials here. The referee today is Glenn Nyberg, who's overseeing this Europa League fixture. Is 19th in history. Recently refereed a quarter-final as Freiburg won 3-0 at home against Celta Vigo. He's regularly seen refereeing across Europe, but also in his home native country of Sweden. So incredible noise inside the stadium here, and it will be a free kick for Stefan Ortega to take. I'll bring you up to date with the substitutes when we get the opportunity to do so, as Amari Hutchinson is on the ball out on that right side now. He lose it, and now it's Matty Cash on it. Matty Cash will go down the line. John McGinn goes all the way back to Cash. Now it's with Ezra Konsa. Ezra Konsa into Yuri Tielemans. Now Victor Lindelof. It looks like it might be a change shape from Villa, actually. It looks like they might be playing with a back five, or a back three rather than the formation that we anticipated that they might be playing in, as we expected maybe to see Matty Cash playing as an attacking winger, or Luca Dean. Certainly looks like it's different formation to that. It's like, to me, Ollie Watkins is leading the line, whilst he's got Morgan Rodgers and Emi Buendia just playing behind him, whilst Yuri Tielemans and John McGinn are being trusted with manning the midfield. And there is just a foul there. Ollie Watkins just bundled over. The referee will give the free kick. So it'll be a free kick out on that far side for Villa to take. John McGinn just going to put the ball down. So going to prepare to take it. Absolute incredible noise here. Fantastic support from the Villa supporters. So Konsa and Torres have both made their way forward as the captain, John McGinn, stands over it. He will whip it to the far post, and it's attacked well by Konsa. It's attacked really well by Konsa, but he does not get a crucial touch on it, and it will run out for a goal kick. He was all the way out on that far post, just attacking it. It's not the greatest of defending from Jair Cunha, the right fullback, who is naturally a centre-back, who's playing at right back today, the big tall defender. Getting to a great position, so The goalkeeper will go long. Ortega will go all the way up, and it'll bounce through to Ezra Konsa. Konsa will just go out to John McGinn. John McGinn will play it centrally into Emi Buendia. Buendia a little bit loose in it, but good feet. And then it is Chris Wood who will just bring him down. I can tell you there's an early red card in the other Europa League game between Freiburg and Braga. Here's Victor Lindelof on it. Lindelof goes back to Konsa. Konsa inside on the ball. Goes out to the right flank for Ollie Watkins to go and chase. Ollie Watkins has made the attacker move out there. He's unable to get there in the early stages, and it will just run all the way out. Vitor Pereira, who's seen quite the improvement from Forest since he took over as manager. Forest have won 8 of his 16 matches in charge, getting a 1.7 points per game since he has been the manager. Pretty top record from Vitor Pereira, who's actually 10 games unbeaten as well. So Konsa just brings it down. There is Victor Lindelof, passes it into Yuri Tillemans, interceptor. Now Forest are going to give it. Here is Igor Jesus. Jesus back to Elliot Anderson. Comes across towards Jer Cunha now on this right flank. Jer Cunha to Amari Hutchinson. Try and go down that right side. Is he bundled over by Luca Dean? The referee and the assistant referee certainly didn't think so. Luca Dean's not happy. He felt that there was a hand used perhaps by Amari Hutchinson. So Hutchinson just going to leave it for Nico Dominguez to take. Chris Wood is inside there. He's the captain today for Nottingham Forest, but the ball will come all the way back, in fact, to Wood. Wood out on the right flank. Here is Amari Hutchinson, who will play it inside, all the way over the top, and it will bounce through for Emi Martinez. Martinez will give it to Victor Lindelof. Now out to Konsa out on the right side. Go all the way up, and it's Elliot Anderson who just tight from behind. It will be a throw for Villa, so Matty Cash makes his way over to take it. He's going to go all the way back into Konsa now. 8 minutes into this game. Ball's back with Emi Martinez. Emi Martinez in his all-yellow goalkeeper kit is going to launch it up. Aimed towards the left side. It's not a great pass and will run out. So here it will be a throw for Milenkovic to take. We could tell you about an early goal at Selhurst Park. It's Jeremy Pino who has broken the deadlock at Selhurst Park. And that means Crystal Palace are now 4-1 up in their tie. Surely they are going to head through to what would be the final of the Conference League to take on either Strasbourg or Rayo Vallecano. We're both currently drawing in the game that they're involved in, both on aggregate, that is, and tonight. So Nico Williams just bundled over from behind by Matty Cash. Williams not happy with the contact that came from behind. Unai Emery's certainly not happy about something. Glenn Nyberg's just made his way over just to speak to Emery. Getting a little bit of a telling off. Ball goes all the way up. And now it's well won in the midfield by Anderson. Anderson will give it to James McAtee. McAtee out to the right flank. Here is Amari Hutchinson. And Hutchinson goes inside, cuts it onto his left foot, but it does drag wide of the goal. It came inside, and it was Amari Hutchinson who just came inside, and that is the first real opportunity of the game. Wasn't too far off from the former Ipswich Town man. So here is Victor Lindelof. Lindelof goes down the line towards Morgan Rogers. Rogers will bring it down. It's all the way back. And it's Victor Lindelof who will get there ahead of Yuri Tielemans. Now it's up towards Ollie Watkins. Watkins will head it back to Tielemans. Tielemans will carry it forward. Here he is. He keeps on going past the Forest midfield. Tries to send it on for Morgan Rogers to chase, but Milenkovic will get there ahead of Rogers and he will just clear it away. Controlled well by Igor Jesus. As we can tell you, it was Mario Dorgeles for denial of a goal-scoring opportunity. It's the reason as to why he was sent off for Braga, as Freiburg are looking to turn around a 2-1 deficit. So the ball goes inside. And it's out to the right flank with Nico Williams. Williams will come back into Milenkovic. Goes all the way up towards Igor Jesus, who will try and hold on to it, but Villa now going to break forward. Here is Emi Buendia. Buendia will give it to Ollie Watkins on this left flank. Good feet shown by Watkins, who will play it inside, tries to force it inside, and Jair Cunha will just block it off for his team. But the Villa crowd are absolutely loving what they're seeing here in the early stages of the game. So Cash has made his way over. So packed out 18-yard box in there. It's going to be delivered towards the near post, flicked on by Pau Torres, and it was Stefan Ortega who has made the save, just tipping it over his crossbar. It's good goalkeeping by the man in all orange. So there's going to be another corner now, packed out inside the 6-yard box. Emi Buendia is waiting on the edge of the box. John McGinn delivers, and it takes a touch off Igor Jesus. Goes back out for another corner. Unai Emery stands on the edge of his dugout as John McGinn is out of the squad on the weekend against Tottenham Hotspur. Will take it. It's left-footed cross. Goalkeeper comes and punches. Headed forward by Buendia. Going to come out to Watkins with the half-volleyed effort, but it's Milenkovic will just clear it away. There is Yuri Tielemans now. Tielemans on the ball for Aston Villa. Goes all the way out to the right side towards Matty Cash. Cash to John McGinn. John McGinn will just dink it towards the far post. Headed away by Jair Cunha. Now it's Luca Dean. Luca Dean inside to Buendia. Buendia will hang it to the far post, but too much on it and it will run all the way through. Just came back and it was just dinked forward, and say it was just a little bit too much on it and it has gone out for a goal kick. That was a good save, and it's the first save of the game from either goalkeeper. It's their usual number 2, the deputy shot stopper, Stefan Ortega, who made the stop, just tipping it over the top of his crossbar. Impressive goalkeeping. Ortega puts it down, and he will go long. It's going to go all the way up, headed by Victor Lindelof. Now out on this right side, here is Amari Hutchinson. Goes all the way back inside and back to Nikola Milenkovic. Milenkovic go out to the left flank. There is Elliot Anderson. Elliot Anderson inside the Aston Villa half. Back in to Nico Dominguez. Dominguez goes all the way back to Stefan Ortega. Ortega will just launch it up, well controlled by Igor Jesus. And all the way back into Morato. Morato will play a 1-2 with Nico Williams. Up towards Igor Jesus. Back into the left full-back, Nico Williams. Clip it down the line. Matty Cash heads it on. There is Emi Buendia with the effort from the edge of the box, but it was comfortable for Stefan Ortega, just diving down to his right side, and pretty comfortable for the goalkeeper to make the stop. No real concern for him there. So Forest on it. It's Nico Dominguez into James McAtee. He'll just bounce it back. It's Elliot Anderson all the way out to the left flank towards Nico Williams. Williams in behind towards Chris Wood. Wood is going to try and bring it down. Pau Torres is tight to him. He thought he was fouled, but the referee certainly doesn't, and tells him just to get on with it. And now it's down the right side. And there's a foul there as John McGinn's just cut, tries to take it quickly. And it was McGinn who was just going down the right side, and that surely will be starting for England this summer. Elliot Anderson was just a little bit too tight for him. So again, Glenn Nyberg is just booking a coach from the Aston Villa backroom staff. He's speaking to Unai Emery and telling him that he needs to calm down his coaching staff. I'll bring you confirmation of who that is, but he was stood up on his feet, quite animated, telling Glenn Nyberg to use his eyes. So here it is, back with Konsa. Konsa on the ball. He will send it forward. All the way out to the right side with Amari Hutchinson, who will just bring it down. That's brilliant play by him. Hutchinson will just clear it away. It's going to go all the way up towards Victor Lindelof. Lindelof will just play it inside, and now it's up to Emi Martinez, the goalkeeper. Martinez on the right flank. Back to the Argentinian World Cup winner. I'll just give it Konsa. Konsa will get it out of his feet. I can tell you about another goal in the Europa League. It's Lucas Kubler who's put Freiburg 1-0 up. So that means it's 2-2 on aggregate. Remember, Freiburg are playing against the 10 men of Braga after Dorgeles was sent off. Here we've just seen our first yellow card of the game, and it's Morato who's been penalised by the referee, the Brazilian. A little bit tight from behind with his tackle. So ball went centrally towards Morgan Rogers, and Morato just a little bit tight and brings down his man. So say the referee penalising him, giving him the yellow card. It's his first yellow card since the game against Midtjylland. He was actually booked in both the home and away leg against Midtjylland. As ball goes all the way up, hooked forward. It will run out for a goal kick, and breathe a sigh of relief will Nottingham Forest, because it wasn't a bad clip forward. Matty Cash had made the attacking move, but he's been unable to get there. Morgan Rogers watching on with his black eye, two black eyes, sorry, and a huge scar on his forehead. That looks incredibly sore. He had a big collision with the Chelsea goalkeeper, Robert Sanchez, on the weekend. It's certainly not a nice moment in that game, that must be said. So ball goes up towards Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins will try and bring it down, and then it was Emi Buendia who was just bundled over by Nikola Milenkovic. And it will now be a throw. Oh no, it's going to be a free kick. Glenn Nyberg just calling over Ollie Watkins. Maybe just telling Watkins to calm down because he wasn't happy with the challenge on Buendia. It was Milenkovic who caught him. So the referee just marking out the free kick. It's in a pretty dangerous position. Unai Emery is once again right on the edge of the pitch, shouting out some instructions to his Villa players. Stefan Ortega is stood right on his post, just trying to tell his wall where to stand. So Luca Dean stood over it alongside Emi Buendia. Would be a left-footed strike from Dean, and Buendia would step onto it with his right foot. There's a draft excluder led behind the wall for Nottingham Forest. It is going to be Buendia. He's going to try and just clip it over the wall, and it will come off the head of Milenkovic and will go out for a corner. Just dinked it forward and so it came off the head of Milenkovic. So now Matty Cash over to take. So Cash putting it down. So it'll be launched in towards the far post, and it was Yuri Tielemans who was attacking it at that time. A man that's not renowned for his goal scoring or for his heading, that is. And he's got caught underneath the ball and he's kind of headed it with the top of his head. So Ortega will put the ball down and go out to the right side. And Jay Cunha will launch up to his captain, Chris Wood. Wood being the captain in the absence of Morgan Gibbs-White. But Villa have started the game well with 6 shots compared to just the 1 of Nottingham Forest. We could go into extra time today, of course, if there's just a 1-goal victory from Villa. They've tested Ortega on 2 occasions. Emi Martinez is yet to make a save as we're halfway through the first half here. Conser goes all the way back to Emiliano Martinez, who will just boot it all the way forward towards Ollie Watkins. Watkins will try and bring it down. It will bounce all the way through. Cleared away by Pau Torres. Elliot Anderson goes inside towards James McAtee. I'll just go back to the only man that's been booked today, Morato. Morato out on the left flank now with Nico Williams. Milenkovic back to Ortega. Ortega gives it to Morato. Elliot Anderson receives it in the Villa half, but they'll lose it. Now there's an opportunity perhaps for Villa to break forward. Here is John McGinn on the ball. John McGinn goes out to the right side towards Matty Cash. Cash gives it to Victor Lindelof. Victor Lindelof back inside now. Lindelof into Tielemans. Tielemans once again into Cash. Cash is going to look to launch it in. It'll be headed away by Milenkovic. Now John McGinn to Morgan Rogers, who will fire it across goal, and then it's blocked off. Elliot Anderson's gone to clear it away and he can just kick it off a Villa player. We could tell you that Crystal Palace are now 2-0 up against Shakhtar Donetsk. has been a good start, a good opening to this game here. Despite not seeing a goal, as Ortega is once again going to go direct. We'll launch it up in the air, and then it'll come back towards Victor Lindelof. I can tell you, actually, it's only 1-0 for Crystal Palace. The goal by Jeremy Pino was cancelled. We were told it was offside, so it's an own goal by Pedro Henrique, which has put Crystal Palace 1-0 up and 4-1 up on aggregate. So Nico Willings goes back into the centre-back Nikola Milenkovic. Milenkovic goes out to the right side. He loses it because it's now with Yuri Tielemans. Tielemans into Ami Buendia, who tries to cross it in, and it will be blocked off by Jair Cunha, but it will just clip off him and go all the way out for a corner. So Unai Emery stands there with the Villa backroom staff. As a cross will come in by Matty Cash, once again headed by Jair Cunha. Watkins will head it forward now. Tell you what, he's headed it, and he's been headed by a Forest player, and we saw an exact situation lead to a penalty in the game between Forest and Chelsea. That situation was where the youngster Jesse Derry got to the ball first, and then I believe it was the Forest defender Zach Abbott who came in to head the ball, didn't, caught his man by heading his head, and the referee on that occasion, Anthony Taylor, on Monday gave a penalty. This occasion, referee Glenn Nyberg isn't going to give anything by the looks of things. That's certainly what they're asking. But I've got to say, I guess Ollie Watkins' header safely went into the hands of Stefan Ortega, but it was not too long ago that there was a couple of head injuries in that game between Forest and Chelsea, so they are going to have to do the correct checks here. Concussion protocol. So they are just checking on the players. So, thankfully, Morato is sat back up. Ollie Watkins still led down, but he looks like he's talking. The camera keeps cutting to Morgan Gibbs-White. It's like he's been in a horror film. 2 full black eyes and a massive scar down the centre of his forehead. Really nasty looking injury. And of course, Forest are missing Morgan Gibbs-White, who's a regular starter in this team, and he's played so well out at left midfield for Nottingham Forest since Vitor Pereira has switched to a 4-4-2 formation. Watkins is bleeding. Currently got a bandage on his head, and you just completely claret the white bandage. So they're taking their time with these checks. So it was Watkins who went up for the ball. He headed it, and he was headed by Morato. There is a question of whether that's a penalty. There was a game that I was watching a couple of years ago when Preston North End played Blackburn Rovers in the Championship, where a penalty was given for quite a similar situation. The Preston player Jack Watmore on that occasion went for the ball and headed the head of the Blackburn player, and a penalty was given. It was controversial at the time, but I was perhaps in the minority that thought it was probably a penalty. Again, I guess in this situation, Watkins' header is safely going through to the ball. There is genuine concern here for Ollie Watkins, who's scored 4 goals in the Europa League campaign this season. He's made 9 starts, 5 appearances from the bench. He's the top goal scorer in the competition for Aston Villa. They, of course, do have plenty of options on the bench. Tammy Abraham would be the like-for-like change, the man that joined from Besiktas in the January transfer window in a 18 million deal. That would be the most likely change to happen. It's only a small following of Nottingham Forest supporters, but they are making good noise in that away end. There is a little bit of a lull at the moment, but there is going to be a round of applause as the players thankfully can get back up onto their feet. Half an hour into the game now, and as they play, been stopped for a very long time. Of course, genuine concern. You've got to take the time with these sort of medical checks. So Watkins has got back up onto his feet. So it's a positive sign that he has been able to get back up, and he's jogging off, so possibly looks like he is past the medical and concussion protocols. So we are going to restart with both him and Morato off the pitch. So half an hour in, still 0-0 here at the Villa Park. It is Morato on it. Comes out to the right side with Milenkovic. Milenkovic on the ball for Nottingham Forest. Just going to send it long up towards Chris Wood. Be headed by Pau Torres. Forest will go all the way out to the left flank towards Nico Williams. Williams will go up towards Igor Jesus. Konsa will get his body in. It's inside to Victor Lindelof. Lindelof back to Konsa. There's Matty Cash on it now. Cash tries to play the ball on the spin and just come off a Forest player and go all the way back. So Vitor Pereira now sitting down on the cooling box, the all-red cooling box. And goes up to be headed and then flicked on by Amari Hutchinson. Torres as well just to head it back to Emi Martinez, who'll pick it up, throw it out to his left side. Now it's with Amari Hutchinson. Amari Hutchinson on the right flank. Here is Elliot Anderson. We'll switch all the way out on the left side towards Nico Williams. Nico Williams will come back into Elliot Anderson now. Anderson a little bit loose on it, but he can play a 1-2 with the captain Chris Wood. All the way out on the left side now. Victor Lindelof steps in. Cross goes in by Williams. And then it is just booted over the bar. Now the centre-back, Nikola Milenkovic, as it came back to him and slapped any sort of composure. Him and Nico Dominguez linking up there. You can tell that Shakhtar Donetsk have equalised against Crystal Palace, meaning it's 4-2 on aggregate, so giving the Ukrainian side a bit of hope at Selhurst Park. This ball all the way out on that left side now with Nico Williams, who's going to launch up towards Chris Wood. He can't bring it down, so it's with Victor Lindelof now. So Lindelof goes up towards Ollie Watkins, so he's thankfully back onto the pitch, but he is all bandaged up now. Here is James McAtee. James McAtee a bit loose in it. It'll be a throw for John McGinn. McGinn gives it to Emi Buendia. It's to Yuri Tielemans in their own half. Plays it into Emi Buendia in the opposition half. Now Watkins will show some quick feet. Comes to Buendia. Buendia will give it to Yuri Tielemans. Tielemans out to the right side with Matty Cash, who will fire it in. Elliot Anderson will just block it off for his team, and now it is Hutchinson on this right side. He's going to race forward with it now. Hutchinson checks back inside and then loses it. It's now Yuri Tielemans from 25 yards out. Going to test his luck, but Stefan Ortega sees it wide of his post. And out to Tielemans, but he sends it way wide. Ortega was at full stretch, the goalkeeper in all orange. I think he would have stopped it if it was going to sneak into that corner, but he will now go long, will the German goalkeeper, making his 7th start tonight, the 33-year-old. Lindelof will just head it all the way back to his goalkeeper, Emi Martinez. So plenty of touches on the ball, but not a save to make so far. There is Pau Torres. Pau Torres back to Victor Lindelof. Now with Konsa. Konsa out to Cash. Cash back into Konsa. Back to Emi Martinez. Martinez will launch all the way up, and the goalkeeper is out, and that was an awkward one for Stefan Ortega to come and deal with, but he does well in the end. Villa will come forward again. Yuri Tielemans out to the left side into Ollie Watkins. Watkins to Emi Buendia on the left side, pulls it across, and there's Watkins, and Villa have opened the deadlock here, and it's their top goal scorer in the competition, Ollie Watkins, who celebrates in front of the Holt end. 35 minutes on the clock at Villa Park, and it's their star striker, the man that just 5 minutes ago had to go bandaged off after a head collision. He's got back onto the pitch, and he wasn't missing from that sort of distance, just a yard out, and Ollie Watkins has given Aston Villa the lead, and on aggregate we are all level here at Villa Park. It's all come from a long ball over the top of which Ortega and Milenkovic didn't communicate well. The ball was cheaply given away by Jair Cunha, and Villa took advantage. It was Tielemans who came out to the left side to Watkins. Watkins played it inside to Buendia. Watkins carried on his run inside, and then Buendia was able to find Ollie Watkins, who just stabbed home from 2 yards out, and Villa lead by 1-0 against Nottingham Forest here. Forest have got on with it quickly as a cross goes in, be headed away by Konsa, and now it's back with Watkins, who will just bounce it back to Victor Lindelof. This could go all the way up towards the attacker Watkins, and he's bundled over, but the referee says that it was fair. It's Forest on the ball. All the way inside towards Elliot Anderson. Elliot Anderson inside the D. Up to the right flank to Jair Cunha. It's Elliot Anderson on the ball. He'll come back into Morato. Morato will try and force it forward, but Konsa will go back to his goalkeeper, Emi Martinez. Play has just stopped. It was a wonderful feat by Buendia, just going down the left side and then pulling it back. Watkins, as I say, was certainly not going to miss from that sort of distance. He was about four yards out. It was a big celebration from his manager, Unai Emery, who was delighted with the way that his side have taken the lead. So Vitor Pereira will be looking for his side to respond. They are 10 games unbeaten. Watkins almost signalling that the bandage on his head is like a crown. And here he is playing, enjoying himself, and is thrown on the Villa Park pitch as it's Watkins on the ball with the shot, and it's Ortega with the save. Villa can send it back across, and that's a disappointing delivery in by Morgan Rogers, but Ortega certainly has been the busier of the two goalkeepers, and you just feel like the momentum is with Aston Villa at the moment. It was Ollie Watkins with the strike, and it was a really good save, a smart stop by Stefan Ortega, just down to his left side, able to bat the ball away for his team. So it was a really good feat by Watkins on the edge of the box, and then a poor delivery in by Morgan Rogers, who held his hands up to apologise. Long throw goes up by Milenkovic. It's going to be headed on. And then it will run all the way out for a goal kick, which Ortega will come over to take. What incredible noise here, we can tell you actually. Freiburg are now 2-0 up, meaning it's 3-2 on aggregate to Freiburg. And as it stands, they will be going through to take on either Aston Villa or Nottingham Forest in the Europa League final. It was Johan Manzabi with the goal for Freiburg to put them 2-0 up and 3-2 up on aggregate. Still level on the night between Palace and Shakhtar Donetsk, and still level between Gary O'Neill's Strasbourg and Inigo Perez's Rayo Vallecano. In that game, Vallecano have had 11 shots as the away side. Strasbourg yet to have a shot themselves. It's a big contrast in the stats here as well. 11 shots from Villa, just 2 from Forest, 5 on target for Unai Emery's team, who are quite clearly in control of the tie. Vitor Pereira is sat down making notes for his team. Here's Emi Martinez on the ball. It's out to the left side to Pau Torres. He'll force it on, and there is Elliot Anderson all the way out on the right flank, finds Amari Hutchinson. He'll chop inside, lovely feet, could take it past Pau Torres. Probably takes a few too many touches because it allows Emi Buendia to get back in and just knock it away for him, and it will now be a throw. I feel like Forest will be happy to get into the break at just 1-0 down on the night. Just feel like they're slowing things down. Nico Dominguez has made his way over to take it. He will launch it up. It's going to be headed on, and Igor Jesus will lose it, and then Villa will just boot it all the way away. Ball is going to be collected by Morato. Comes out to the right side and finds Jair Cunha. There is Jair Cunha on it. Back to the goalkeeper Ortega. Ortega now will just launch it all the way up. Be headed on, and it's back with Elliot Anderson in the midfield. Elliot Anderson can give it Amari Hutchinson. Anderson goes inside towards Milenkovic. Milenkovic to Amari Hutchinson. This is the first spell on the ball in such a long time for Nottingham Forest. And it's going to be floated in behind towards Chris Wood. And Martinez is out to his goal to collect. As well does Martinez, who will now put the ball down. There has been an opening goal in the Conference League tie between Strasbourg and Rayo Vallecano. Vallecano taking the lead, meaning it's 2-1 on aggregate to their side. As it stands, they will be playing Crystal Palace in that final. Here is Victor Lindelof. He'll just move it out to the right side towards Matty Cash, who will carry it forward. He'll find John McGinn in the midfield. McGinn's able to turn round and slow it down. All the way out on the right flank with Matty Cash. Now Yuri Tielemans. Tielemans comes back to Victor Lindelof. Lindelof will give it Cash. Cash back across to Pau Torres. Torres into Yuri Tielemans, and Tielemans will force it up, and it will be blocked off, and there is Tielemans once again, goes back into Konsa. Konsa on the ball. We'll just give it to Yuri Tielemans once again. Out on this left side with Luca Dean. Luca Dean to Pau Torres. Got Torres into Morgan Rogers. Which is back to Torres to Konsa. Konsa all the way out to Victor Lindelof. Lindelof will give it John McGinn. John McGinn just being wrestled with from behind by James McAtee. Tell you, it was Alan Mao who has scored the only goal of the game for Real Vallecona. Final minute of normal time. There's surely going to be quite a lot of additional time here, though. Forrest with it on that left side, and there's going to be a free kick. Elliot Anderson just down on the ground. Was caught by Emi Buendia. So, only goal of the game has come from Emi Buendia, showing incredible feet. He's got all the way to the byline and then pulled it back for Ollie Watkins to break the deadlock and to put Villa 1-0 up. We're about to find out how much additional time we've got left here. We're into 4 minutes of additional time at the end of this first half. It's Aston Villa 1, Nottingham Forest 0. It's a half of football of which Villa have dominated. 11 shots compared to the 2 of Forest, 5 corners compared to the 0 of Nottingham Forest. Just in general, Villa have looked the more likely of the two teams. This is their first continental semi-final for 42 years for Nottingham Forest. Pereira has already steered them past his former club Fenerbahce, plus Midtjylland and Porto to reach the last 4, reigniting a European tradition for the Nottingham Forest supporters. They've won 2 European Cups in their history compared to the 1 of Aston Villa. The Tricky Trees have lost just 1 of their last 13 knockout ties after winning the first leg, and that was the infamous 1984 UEFA Cup semi-final against Anderlecht, which was controversial for plenty of reasons. So here is Tielemans, goes out to the right side towards Matty Cash. He'll switch it out towards Luca Dean on this left flank. Luca Dean on the ball for Villa. Tielemans, now Buendia. Buendia tries to play a ball inside but can only pass it to where Elliot Anderson is, and now here's Villa on it. Victor Lindelof to Yuri Tielemans. Tielemans out to Luca Dean. Dean will give it Emi Buendia. Here is the Belgian Tielemans. Back into Pau Torres. Torres will give it Luca Dean, and it's going to be blocked off there. And Cunha actually has caught Emi Buendia, and he's the second player of the game to go into the referee's notepad. The 6'6" defender is playing at fullback today, just a little late on Buendia. For me, it feels a little harsh to give a yellow card there. But he joins his fellow defender Morato in Glenn Nyberg's notepad. Did look like a sore one for Emi Buendia. He's shaking his head as Cunha at the moment. So into the final minute of additional time now. Can Villa score at almost a perfect time right before the half-time whistle? So it's Yuri Tielemans who has stood over it. So waiting for a delivery to come in. The left arm of Tielemans goes up. Just going to float it all the way to the far post. Stefan Ortega will come and claim. That's excellent goalkeeping by him. He'll launch it out to the left side, where James McAtee is. McAtee will carry it forward. McAtee on the ball. He's being wrestled with by Morgan Rogers, and there is going to be a foul down there. Rogers shaking his head this time, but he was a little bit overzealous with the contact on his fellow England teammate. Probably going to be the last bit of action of this first half. Elliot Anderson stood over the free kick. Former Newcastle United man, as Aston Villa's defensive line is 20 yards out. Elliot Anderson just telling his players maybe to go a bit deeper to the far post. Anderson, both arms up in the air, will float it in. It's going to be touched by Igor Jesus, and his touch is going to go all the way out for a goal kick. Poor touch by the Brazilian. And that will be that at half-time, and it's Ollie Watkins who has scored the only goal of the game so far. 1-0 up, a Unai Emery's team in a commanding and deserved lead. We go into the break 1-1 on aggregate. Hello and welcome back to the second half here at Villa Park. We come into the second period with Villa a goal up on the night, meaning it's 1-1 on aggregate. It has been quite a dominant performance by Aston Villa in the first half, where they were quite simply the better team. And it was Ollie Watkins who broke the deadlock for Aston Villa in the game to give them a 1-goal lead. Nottingham Forest just have not been able to deal with the intensity of Aston Villa in the first 45, but we are underway in the second period now. Ball going all the way back towards Stefan Ortega, who will just launch it up. It will be headed on, and there is going to be a foul down there. Glenn Nyberg given the free kick, whistle in his mouth. Prince William is in the stands today, watching on. Of course, an Aston Villa supporter. Prince William will be hoping that his presence can help Villa reach a European final, which at the moment looks like it will be against Freiburg, as ball is back with Konsa. Konsa on the ball. Now it's out on the right side. Here is John McGinn. McGinn goes all the way back into Konsa. Konsa will just pass it to Matty Cash, who will launch it up. It's going to be a long ball aimed towards Ollie Watkins, who's unable to bring it down under his control, and his touch sees it just run out of play. It'll be a goal kick for Nottingham Forest. Stefan Ortega will make his way over, and he's going to look to launch it up for his team. It's going to be a long ball up towards Chris Wood, who goes chasing. He doesn't have the captain's armband anymore. That's because Ryan Yates has come onto the pitch. Ryan Yates, who's come on at half-time for James McAtee. So Forest going with maybe a more defensive midfielder, because it then allows Nico Dominguez to come and play out on left mid. And that's why, of course, Chris Wood doesn't have the armband, because Ryan Yates is the club captain here at the City ground. So long throw goes up. Konsa will go inside towards Matty Cash. Cash just tries to launch it up down the left side. It will be blocked off, and now ball will come all the way back with Stefan Ortega. Ortega will just play it short towards Morato, who'll clip it up, and there is John McGinn, who will bring it down for Villa. He's going to try and spin and come down the right side for Aston Villa. Now it's going to be cleared away by Morato. Morato up towards Igor Jesus. Yuri Tielemans back to Pau Torres. Victor Lindelof gives it to Ollie Watkins. Watkins into Yuri Tielemans on the halfway line. Now out on the right side with Matty Cash. Cash will fire it across towards John McGinn. He's going to send in a left-footed cross aimed all the way through. He'll bounce out for a goal kick. Just came out on that right flank towards John McGinn, who aimed it towards Morgan Rogers. Oh, it's just floated through, and players just stopped because Morato is down with a head injury at the moment. He's a little sore at the moment. So Ollie Watkins bandaged up down there, but has broken the deadlock in the game for his Aston Villa side. I can tell you, Crystal Palace have got another goal, so they are now 2-1 up, meaning it's 5-2 on aggregate. It is Ismail Assar who has scored plenty of goals this season for Crystal Palace, and he's got a crucial touch on the ball to put them in the lead against the Ukrainian team. So back in play here at Villa Park. It's Pau Torres on the ball. Pau Torres will just go back to Conce. There's Conce. Conce goes inside. All the way back, and it's with Victor Lindelof. Lindelof, who will just go out to Pau Torres. Pau Torres all the way back into Conce. Conce having to play with plenty of bodies in front of him because Forest are putting all of their men behind the ball. It's out on the left side with Pau Torres now. Pau Torres being wrestled with by Ryan Yates, who has caught him from behind. Ryan Yates just a little bit overzealous with the way that he has fought for the ball. Just having a tug in his shirt by the looks of things. So it'll be a free kick. Ryan Yates just a little bit too eager to try and win that ball. Just caught Emi Buendia on the back of his foot. So here is John McGinn. John McGinn will cross it all the way in. Ryan Yates will block it off. Now it's with Emi Buendia. Emi Buendia will go all the way back into Pau Torres. Pau Torres on the ball. And now it's with John McGinn. John McGinn will just go inside towards Ezri Konsa. Ezri Konsa launches it up towards Emi Buendia. And he is just a little bit loose on it and is caught. And now it's back with Ryan Yates. Yates gives it to Elliot Anderson. All the way back with Nikola Milenkovic. We'll give it Jair Cunha into Amari Hutchinson. And that time it is Luca Dean that just bundles over the Ipswich Town man. And once again, Glenn Nyberg is over. And this time he's booking a Nottingham Forest coach, member of the backroom staff, who's not happy at all. Glenn Nyberg over speaking to Vitor Pereira. Nyberg not happy with when the coaches are coming out and shouting towards him. So the referee just speaking to Hutchinson, who has hobbled back up onto his feet. Looks like he is going to be okay. A little bit sore. So ball is all the way back to Milenkovic. Milenkovic goes all the way back into Stefan Ortega. Ortega out on the right side. Ball up, and it's Ezri Konsa. And step across, and then he tries to force it forward towards Morgan Rogers, and the referee has just spotted a foul there. Konsa bundled over by Elliot Anderson. So just tried to get there ahead of him before him. So it's going to be a free kick for Yuri Tielemans to take. Forest's defensive line 15 yards out from their own goal. So Tielemans is going to look to launch it in. Instead it just comes short to Matty Cash. Cash out to the right flank towards John McGinn. McGinn will drive inside, and it's Nico Williams on that occasion who will block it off for his team. So here is a corner for the captain, John McGinn, who is over to take. Villa players towards the back post in conversation, trying to organise themselves. John McGinn, the captain. He's actually going to go short towards Emi Buendia. He'll come back into Matty Cash, now in a central position with Yuri Tielemans. It's sent back across by Buendia. Oh, there must be a foul there. I'm sure Paul Torres has been dragged down to the ground by a Forest player. It's now with John McGinn. McGinn with the effort, blocked off by a Forest man. Now it's Morgan Rogers. Morgan Rogers loses it, and it's now Nico Williams, and Williams a little bit loose on it, and the referee's stopping it because he's saying there's a VAR check. I think this is a penalty. Yeah, I think that's a penalty. Paul Torres is going to play the ball, and he's being tugged hold of by Nikola Milenkovic. What is the Serbian defender doing? I think that's a clear and obvious error. Because Paul Torres has taken the touch, and he's going to turn to play it, and he's just dragged down to the ground. I think that is quite clearly a penalty. Ryan Yates and John McGinn are speaking to the referee Glenn Nyberg. Milenkovic is over pleading his innocence. He's going to get sent to the VAR screen. He is. Glenn Nyberg makes the TV monitor scream. So it is going to be a penalty, I imagine. When Nyberg's made his way over to watch it, Milenkovic just had a handful of the shirt of Paul Torres. You could see his number 14 on his back and just dragged him down. Yeah, it's quite clearly a penalty. Glenn Nyberg points to the spot. I don't think any Nottingham Forest supporters or players can really complain about that, and it's poor defending from the Serbian defender Nikola Milenkovic. And Villa will now have the opportunity from the spot. So the referee making his way over to speak to the players, and Emi Buendia will put the ball down. Stefan Ortega back on his line now. There's going to be big pressure on the former Manchester City shot stopper. Emi Buendia is preparing to take it. Now this is an opportunity to go 2 goals up after Milenkovic had a tug on Torres' shirt. Buendia steps up onto it, slams it into the corner, and Emi Buendia, who has already scored quite an incredible amount of goals this season compared to previous years, well, now he has put Villa 2-0 up with his 3rd Europa League goal of the season. Prince William is up, celebrating with a massive fist bump, as are the home supporters here, and the Argentinian celebrates in front of the home end. And it's now Aston Villa 2, Nottingham Forest 1 on aggregate. Stefan Ortega went the right way, but Emi Buendia has just caught it underneath the attempted dive by Stefan Ortega. And they are now 2-0 up, or Aston Villa. Prince William absolutely loving what he's seen. And the Villains are 2 up, and Emi Buendia has been the best player on this pitch today. He created the opener for Ollie Watkins, and now he has scored to put them 2-0 up. The ball goes all the way back to Stefan Ortega. He'll go out to the right side with Jair Cunha. Forest are going to have to respond now that they are 2 behind. Ball in behind, and Paul Torres goes back to Emi Martinez, and he'll give it Matty Cash. Matty Cash out on the right side. It's all the way up towards John McGinn, who's going to spin and turn, but he's caught by Elliot Anderson. Here is Forest. Now Elliot Anderson. Anderson on the ball, and he is caught, and it is going to be a throw. So here is Ezra Konsa. Konsa goes all the way back to Pau Torres. Pau Torres inside. All the way back, long ball up, and Watkins tries to bring it down under his control. There is Nico Dominguez, plays it inside towards Elliot Anderson. Ball will be well tackled down there. Ball's back with Stefan Ortega. Ortega will send a long ball up. Will bounce through. Ollie Watkins with the opportunity here for Villa! And that could have been a third, but it has been denied by the assistant referee's flag. Ollie Watkins gone a little bit too early. Morgan Rogers flicked it towards Watkins, and he did fire it past Stefan Ortega, but he was quite clearly offside. So here is Elliot Anderson in the midfield for Forest. He's going to go all the way back to Nikola Milenkovic. Milenkovic out on the right side to Jair Cunha. Jair Cunha will send a long ball up. It's just going to be hooked away by Luca Dean. Gibbs White making his way over, getting some boots. He's on the bench today, Morgan Gibbs White, which is quite incredible when you look at him. And I think he might be a player that Vitor Pereira may look to bring on. He probably wasn't prepared to use him, but he has made his way off and got some boots. So Watkins now goes down the left side for Aston Villa and drive past some the Forest defenders. Nikola Milenkovic is across, and it will be a throw. Literally looks like something out of a horror film, does Morgan Gibbs White, with the massive black eyes. I think it would be a risk using him, because I'm not aware of his medical condition, how he really is, but he does not look good. One ball goes up, it's flicked on, there's John McGinn with the effort, but he can only hit it down the centre of the goal, and that will be comfortable for Stefan Ortega to save as he just collects it to his chest. Came to John McGinn on the edge of the box, he struck it well, but right down the centre of the goal, and very comfortable for Stefan Ortega. So, here it is with Milenkovic. Milenkovic will come all the way back to Ortega. 7 attempts on target for Villa compared to none from Forest. That's the difference at the moment. Morgan Rogers out to Emi Buendia. Now Victor Lindelof. Lindelof steps inside. He's tackled by Amari Hutchinson. And now there's an opportunity perhaps for Forest to break forward, but Pau Torres will block it off for Villa. So long ball goes up. Now it's through, and it's on to Igor Jesus. Jesus to Amari Hutchinson, out on the right flank now. Hutchinson dinks it to the far post, headed by the Brazilian, but heads it wide of the goal, and just not threatened at all of Vitor Pereira's team. Forest supporters looking worried, but they've only got one goal and they could take it to extra time. Of course, it is the power of having an away leg as your second game in a two-legged tie. When you've got your home leg as your second one, it gives you much needed momentum and a boost, as you know what you're playing against. As ball goes up towards Watkins, who tries to hold on to it. He can't get to it. Now it's Forest. Now it's John McGinn who's across, and he catches Nico Williams from behind, so that will be a foul. McGinn clearly disagreeing with the decision of the referee. So Vitor Pereira is making his way over, speaking to his backroom staff. They are going to have to come to some sort of solution here with the final 25 minutes. It's Ortega. Ortega gives it Ryan Yates. Yates goes back into Milenkovic. There is Williams. Williams back to Morato. Ball goes central into Chris Wood. Caught from behind, and it is going to be a free kick, a throw, shall I say, for Forest. Nico Williams goes back into Morato. Morato goes down the left flank, goes into Yates. Williams will hook it on, and Forest tried to flick it away with Chris Wood, but now it's back with Emi Buendia. Buendia to Morgan Rogers. Rogers 25 yards out. Dangerous striker goal. 8th shot on target. That one was more comfortable for Stefan Ortega. Still had to make a dive to his right side, but relatively simple save for him in the end. Here's Pau Torres. Does really well to win it back. Now with Yuri Tielemans. Tielemans inside towards Emi Buendia. Back to Victor Lindelof. It's all the way back into Pau Torres. Paul Torres into Konsa. Konsa out to the right side with Matty Cash. Cash comes back to Konsa. There is Emi Martinez. Goalkeeper in all yellow. He's going to clip it out to this right side. It's headed on. There is Rogers who will try and spin and turn for his team, and I think he's just been caught there, and there is going to be a foul. Nico Williams colliding with Morato. A bit of a head collision between the two of them. It's the second time Morato's gone down with a head injury. It looks like it's more to the nose, so I don't think any serious medical attention has come onto the pitch. It's again Vitor Pereira on his iPad. I don't think we're going to see Gibbs White today. I can't quite believe that he's been named on the bench. I thought that concussion protocol would have ruled him out, but clearly didn't have a concussion. So here's Ryan Yates. 1-2 with Nico Dominguez. Goes all the way back into Milenkovic. Now Jair Cunha. So the long ball down on up towards Amari Hutchinson. He brings it down really well. Goes inside towards Elliot Anderson. Anderson wins it back from Luca Dean. Now Jesus tries to get there ahead of Pau Torres. Referee allows player to continue as Emi Martinez will boot it up. It's booted up now, controlled by Pau Torres. Now with John McGinn. John McGinn gives it to Morgan Rogers. Rogers bundled over by a Forest man, and it will be a foul. 68 minutes on the clock here. Emi Buendia actually helped up onto his feet by the referee, Glenn Nyberg. Will help him up with a free kick for Villa. Looks like Lorenzo Luca is getting ready to come on, as is Dylan Bakwa. They look like they are the two changes. Smatty Cash goes back inside towards Konsa. I can tell you that Freiburg are now 3-0 up, shall I say, against Braga. So that now means it is 4-2 on aggregate, and it looks like the German side will be going through to the final to play Aston Villa. As it stands, certainly looks like that. And it's Lucas Kubler with the goal for Freiburg. And 3 goals up to the good. There is Emi Martinez back on the ball for Aston Villa. It's going to be a left-footed ball all the way up towards Watkins. It'll be headed away by Milenkovic. Now it's Nico Williams on it on this left flank. Nico Williams will go back into Morato. Morato back into Elliot Anderson. Now it's all the way in behind, and here is Chris Wood. Wood's made a good run. I think he may be offside personally, but the referee has allowed play to continue because the assistant referee did raise his flag, but the ref said, let's play an advantage. Now it's Nico Williams with it on the left flank. Watkins working hard to win the ball back. Now it's Nico Williams. It's all the way back towards Ryan Yates. Yates will give it to Elliot Anderson. Anderson out on their right side now. Anderson will receive it. Fires it across goal. And it will go all the way through and out for a goal kick. Martinez made the save, so that was a bit controversial. Well, it was pretty tight. It wasn't clear that Chris Wood was offside. He raced forward. Martinez made the save. Because Villa were breaking forward, it was an opportunity for them to get going. But then Forest won the ball and they nearly went forward and scored themselves. So there are going to be a couple changes for Nottingham Forest. We're going to see the New Zealand international Chris Wood make his way off the pitch. Coming on for Chris Wood is the big man Lorenzo Luca, who's currently on loan from the Italian side Napoli. Yet to score a goal in the Europa League, has scored one goal against Leeds United in the Premier League. So Morato is making his way off the pitch for Nottingham Forest as well. This ball goes in behind towards Emi Buendia with the effort. Sends it past the goal and out for a goal kick. That was a good opportunity there for Buendia. Watkins did really well just holding on to it. And then the Argentinian, with the effort, just drags it wide of the goal. Amar Bagode is getting ready to come on for Aston Villa, and that we expected to actually start as Forest go down the right side, cross goes in, be blocked off by Luca Dean down there, the fullback for Aston Villa. And this will be the first corner of the game for Nottingham Forest. There's an attacking change as Morato, he's on a yellow card, has made his way off. And Dylan Bakwa, who signed from Strasbourg in a 30 million deal this summer, is onto the pitch. So Dylan Bakwa is on, and he will be hoping to make a difference for Vitor Pereira's team as they are gathering around inside the 18-yard box, waiting for delivery. It comes in, it's headed away. It's now back with Forest in a midfield position. And the ball goes out, and we are going to see a change here for Villa. And it's number 3, Victor Lindelof. He came in today to play as part of this back 5 for Villa. He joined on a free transfer this summer from Manchester United. He's had to be patient in terms of starts, but the Europa League has been more of a competition for the Iceman. And Victor Lindelof gets a standing ovation as he makes his way off. And coming on for him is Lamar Bagode, a young 22-year-old who's come through the youth system here. He's on for his 13th Europa League appearance. Football talent runs heavily in Lamar Bagode's family. He's the nephew of former Dutch international Winston Bogarde, the younger brother of Melaro Bogarde, and also cousins with Danilo Doki. Basically grew up in a footballing dynasty. So Bogarde is on to the pitch now. So Elliot Anderson and Amari Hutchinson stood over the ball here. Right arm up in the air of Elliot Anderson. He will just roll it back to Hutchinson. Hutchinson will clip it over the top. and the referee is just going to stop it. Not sure why, but now can do it, and now Villa can break forward with Ollie Watkins, goes all the way up, blocked off by Forrest on that far side. Good defensive work by Dylan Bakwa. Tell you, Braga have got a goal back, so that game is... Says there a concert on it. As Conser, it's out to the right side towards John McGinn. McGinn will just knock it off Amari Hutchinson. And it will be a throw for his team. The ball goes all the way up. Milenkovic is grappling with Ollie Watkins, and the Serbian defender will just head it away. So it is going to be a throw for Villa as Matty Cash is going to come over to take. Former Nottingham Forest man, he usually gets a bit of a hostile reception whenever he plays at the City ground. He made the move back in 2020, did Matty Cash. It's going to be launched all the way up, headed away. Mari Hutchinson will clear it, and then Concert will go all the way back towards the goalkeeper, Emi Martinez. He'll take his time in picking up the ball. Keeper in all yellow. Won the Golden Glove at the last World Cup. He's quite well known for his mind games. Watkins heads it back to Morgan Rogers. Here's John McGinn! And Villa are surely heading through to a European final once again. And it's absolute bedlam right in front of the Holt end. And it's John McGinn, their captain, with the crucial touch to put Aston Villa 3-0 up against Nottingham Forest. And who else to maybe get the finishing touch for this Midlands club? The 31-year-old captain finding his 4th Europa League goal. And as it stands, it's going to be Aston Villa and Freiburg in the final in the Europa League. Brilliant play by Ollie Watkins just to lay it off for John McGinn. He didn't even need a touch to compose himself, and he slams it into the bottom corner. Real conviction, almost like a placed, finessed finish more than anything. But calm in front of goal. Unai Emery responds by punching the floor. That's what it means for him. And they are absolutely loving it, are Aston Villa, who are now 3-0 up against Nottingham Forest, 3-1 in aggregate. And you've got to say, they absolutely deserve to be heading through to a Europa League final. They have been incredible this year in Europe. And they today have had 9 shots on target compared to just the 1 of Nottingham Forest. It has been as one-sided of a contest as you're going to see. And considering Nottingham Forest are 10 games unbeaten coming into this game, on the back of beating Aston Villa last week in the first leg, on the back of beating a fresh Chelsea side on the weekend in a 3-1 victory, Nottingham Forest have not been anywhere near good enough against this Aston Villa team that are surely now heading through to a Europa League final. So ball goes up. Luca Dean can only head it away. It's going to be touched by Emi Buendia. Now it's Lamar Bagode. He'll give it Watkins. Watkins will carry it forward out to the right side for McGinn. Oh! It's absolutely sensational. And it's almost the exact same finish from John McGinn, but into the opposite corner. And Aston Villa are 100% getting ready to book their flight out to a Europa League final. And Unai Emery will be looking for his 5th ever Europa League title. And it's John McGinn, his captain. Nottingham Forest watching on. They can't believe what's happened today, but they have just come up against an Aston Villa side who look well rested and look so much better. That's the 10th shot on target. McGinn once again just placing it into the corner. It's such a composed finish. Left-footed. He runs over to celebrate. You might as well get your phones out now if you're an Aston Villa supporter and look to book some flights out for the Europa League final. He has been outstanding today, and they will be heading to Istanbul's Besiktas Park to partake in the 2026 Europa League final, and they will be looking to be the second English team in a row after Tottenham Hotspur won it last year to win that coveted trophy. Morgan Gibbs-White, with his two black eyes and big scar on his face, watches on. Well, I say he watches on, he can't bear to watch. He's got hands and arms over his face. He was named on the bench today, but not been able to call upon their captain. And here is Aston Villa's captain, John McGinn. He'll come out to the right side, plays a 1-2 with Matty Cash. Here is Forrest to Ryan Yates, out to the left side towards Amari Hutchinson. Hutchinson will fire it across, and it will just be blocked off down there by the fullback, Lamar Bagode. Victor Pereira watches on with his arms crossed. Eight minutes to go here. 4-1 in aggregate now. Jadon Sancho is getting ready to come on. Unai Emery speaking to him, giving him some instructions. Here it is with Forrest. It's with Nico Dominguez in the midfield. It goes out to the right side. Roger Cunha. Roger Cunha to Dylan Bakwa. Bakwa will carry it forward down the right side, and he is caught. So it will be a free kick out on that far side now. Nottingham Forest have only had one shot on target in the game, and well, Chris Wood was probably offside from that one as well when it came all the way forward. So Nottingham Forest have got it out on that far side. Jadon Sancho just taping up his socks. I think they're allowing him to have holes in the back of his socks. So Dylan Bakwa going to try a left-footed cross. Oh, headed away by Morgan Rogers. Not sure he got a shout from his goalkeeper, Emi Martinez. So just had to head it away for his team. And it's going to be a corner once again for Amari Hutchinson. Nico Williams, who is a regular set-piece taker, makes his way over to take it. So, right arm goes up in the air of Nico Williams. Lofted all the way to the far post. Headed on by Morgan Rogers. Go out for a Forest throw, and once again there seems to be a head collision. Milenkovic not happy with something. Him and Victor Lindelof seem to have collided down there. Referee's just over checking. So final 5 minutes now. And Emery scratching his chin as he watches on. Jadon Sancho is wanting to come on. So cross goes in. It's going to bounce all the way through towards where Lorenzo Luca is. Luca can't hold on to it. John McGinn will clip it on towards Ollie Watkins. Lamar Bagold will hook it away for his team. And it's going to be a throw for Forest. There is Ryan Yates who'll give it to Amari Hutchinson. Hutchinson all the way to the far post. Emi Martinez will come. Martinez will collect. He has been caught, I think, as he's come up to collect the ball. Mickey Dean speaking to the referee. Buendia is going to make his way off. What a fantastic performance from him today. For the first goal, outstanding footwork was shown to swat it back for Ollie Watkins for the simplest finish of his life, and then he had all the pressure on him as he took the penalty for the second, and Emi Buendia makes his way off to a standing ovation. And coming on for him is the Manchester United loanee Jadon Sancho. Hasn't really probably done enough to convince Aston Villa to bring him back next year, but Sancho is onto the pitch. Murillo is getting ready to come on for Nottingham Forest, as is number 61, young Jimmy Sinclair. So here is Forest, goes out to the left side with Amari Hutchinson. He'll come inside. He'll find Igor Jesus. Igor Jesus goes all the way back into Elliot Anderson. Elliot Anderson will stretch it across to the right flank with Nico Williams. He'll come back into Milenkovic. Milenkovic will play a short ball inside. There is Dominguez. Dominguez inside, and that time it's Yuri Tielemans who is a little bit too close for comfort from behind. We are going to see some changes now. So Amari Hutchinson will make his way off. And Jair Cunha, who is on a yellow card, will make his way off. So Murillo was the usual starter for Nottingham Forest. If he was fit, he would have started today. So a little bit surprised that he's coming on here in the 88th minute. So Murillo is on. And we're also seeing the young 19-year-old Jimmy Sinclair, who has only made one other appearance in the Europa League before. That was just 6 minutes that he got in the previous time, such as his second ever appearance. He usually with the under-21s. We can tell you Crystal Palace are partying because they are going to be playing in Germany in Leipzig in the Conference League final. They've beaten Shakhtar Donetsk by a scoreline of 2-1, meaning they've won 5-2 on aggregate. So Crystal Palace will be playing either Strasbourg or Real Vallecano in the Conference League final. Aston Villa will be playing, by the looks of things, Freiburg, as it's a good cross in by Nico Dominguez. It will be eventually headed away. Here is Forest now. It's inside. It's all the way back with Milenkovic. Milenkovic will play it up towards the striker, Lorenzo Luca, who has tried to bring it down under his control, but the flag goes up on the far side. Pau Torres, I think, knows his course is up, because there's going to be a triple change here. So Morgan Rogers will make his way off. Quiet evening for him, to be fair. We're also going to see John McGinn, the captain, who's got a brace today, the captain. Fantastic performance from him today. Getting high fives all around is John McGinn. Unbelievable performance from the Scotsman. Was assisted by Ollie Watkins for the first and Morgan Rogers for the second. Gets hugs from the fellow Villa players. Makes his way over. Gets his high fives. He makes his way off, as does Pau Torres. Triple change for Aston Villa. Tyrone Mings picks up the armband, the 33-year-old, on for his 204th Aston Villa appearance. Douglas Luiz, who spent the first half of the season on loan at Nottingham Forest from Juventus, then he got recalled and went on a loan to Aston Villa for a second spell here. We've also seen Leon Bailey make his way on the former Bayer Leverkusen man. So it was Ryan Yates with the effort there, the Nottingham Forest captain. Just a second shot on target, but that is a comfortable save for Emi Martinez. The Forest supporters checking the clock, see if they could catch the last train back perhaps. Dylan backward tries to flick it on towards Igor Jesus. So Konsa will play it up, and now it's with Ryan Yates. Yates goes out to the right side. Jimmy Sinclair will lob it forward, but Emi Martinez will come out and collect, and it looks like he's sending his team forward now. Telling his team to make their way up. So ball goes all the way through, and it will run through towards Stefan Ortega. Ortega will then roll it to Murillo. We can tell you there's drama in the game between Strasbourg and Rayo Vallecano, where the score is currently 1-0 to the Spaniards, meaning it's 2-1 an aggregate to them. Strasbourg in the 90th minute have missed the penalty. Of course, they're managed by former Wolverhampton Wanderers manager Gary O'Neill. So Jimmy Sinclair to take the free kick for Forest inside their own half. Launches it up. Lorenzo Luca can head it on. It's now out on the left side. Here is Sinclair. Sinclair gives it Murillo. Elliot Anderson will just switch it out to the right side, aim towards Dylan backward, but it's a poor pass, gets caught underneath it, and it will now be a throw for Villa. A difficult pick to choose a man of the match today. I think Watkins has scored the first goal, got the assist for the third. Buendia, the assist for the first, goal for the second. John McGinn with 2 goals. I think it's probably got to go to John McGinn. Got to say, he's been the best player on the pitch. He's a fan favourite here at Villa Park. It's Villa's 6th win in the last 10 games against Nottingham Forest. Ball goes up towards Yuri Tielemans. He checks back. He fell to his court by Elliot Anderson. Referee Glenn Nyberg didn't. Now it's Jimmy Sinclair. He goes inside to Elliot Anderson. Here is Dominguez. Dominguez will carry it up. Goes into Igor Jesus. Going to be clipped away. Now Leon Bailey will try and bring it down. He slips. Now Sinclair. He can win it back. Goes inside to Ryan Yates. Oh, that would have been a nice moment for him. Nottingham Forest, no, they won't be competing in Europe next year. Aston Villa can qualify for the Champions League on 2 fronts, of course. If they win the Europa League, they'll automatically qualify. But if they finish in the top 5 in the Premier League, they will qualify as well, which means it's interesting, because if Villa finish in the top 5 and win the Europa League, it would mean 6 spots would get Champions League this season, which as it stands, it would mean Bournemouth would be playing Champions League football. The 2 teams below them are Brentford and Brighton and Hove Albion. It would be huge for all of them. But the final whistle goes here. Aston Villa dominant on the night. Unai Emery looking to get his 5th ever Europa League crown. He heads on to his 6th European final. He is the king of Europe, and Aston Villa are looking to go one step further in Istanbul, as they will be taking on Freiburg in the Europa League final. It finishes here. Aston Villa 4, Nottingham.